Hey guys, another video on the horrible crimes, the bumps in the nights of Suffolk County. So many of you may know that Rex Heuermann is due back in court this week for additional murder charges of other victims. And one of the names that's being floated around just happens to be a name that somebody else was suspected of taking the life of. So John Bittroff, he was arrested for the 90s murders, and he was the suspect of a third cold case. He was tried and convicted for Rita Tangredi and Colleen McName, but he was suspected of Sandra Castillo, who was found murdered at the Fish Cove camp on November 20th, 1993. The reason this one is being brought up because this is one of the names that's being alleged that they may be facing charges for her murder is Rex Heuermann. But the whole important point of this is the connections. Now, John Bittroff was also a suspect for the Gilgo Beach serial unalivings. Now, in this case, the case went cold 20 years after Suffolk County Police got an unexpected breaks. Authorities said in September of 2013, Bittroff's brother Timothy was convicted of violating an order of protection, and a DNA sample was then submitted to the state databank upon his conviction, and it matched samples collected in the murders, but the DNA was not his. Goes on, Thomas Spoda says, the family member who provided his DNA sample was not the unaliver, citing the crime lab report, saying, but a blood relative of his was indeed the unaliver. And Thomas Spoda is the former DA in Suffolk County, who is one of the names on this big circle that surrounds LISK. And he also lost his position for corruption with former police chief James Burke on a wiretap fraud. But I digress on that. We'll get back to that at another time. So what we're looking at here is something that's twofold. Could this possibly be something that causes Rex Heuermann to not be held accountable and to get let off? What were the connections? What were the information they had that made them look at John Bittroff? And the woman that they suspected to be the third victim of John Bittroff is now one of the names that we're looking at new charges for Rex Heuermann this week, possibly. It's just so many things, guys. We are keeping a close eye on this. But, again, Spoda, the district attorney, former, he shut down any idea of there being a connection between those cases and the unsolved Gilgo Beach murders. He said the respective murders and crime scenes are unique and there is no evidentiary link. Now, this is also comes from the same department that handled Shannon Gilbert's 911 call and buried it, claiming that there was nothing showing signs of distress and she wasn't screaming or asking for help, when that's exactly what was in that call. And that's one of the many things we'll be taking a look in this summer, is a deep dive into all the people connected in Suffolk County and the surrounding areas. But what's coming this week? The charges for Heuermann, the new murder charges, could be ones that cause some possible disturbance in the force, if you will. Because the same person that was a suspect for the Gilgo Beach unalivings was also a suspect for the woman that is going to possibly be charged with this week. It's just too much. It's too much. But let's just hope that they've got all the evidence to back this up, and that it's an open shut, slam dunk case, because they were already working against a stacked deck with corrupt officials in this case that were burying evidence. Stay tuned this week, you guys, as Rex Heuermann's back in court and we get the official word of who the new charges are for.